You're starting the flute, or maybe restarting the flute, and you're probably wondering, what on earth should you be practicing? And I don't blame you, because there is a lot of material out there and it can be really overwhelming. Welcome. My name is Tatiana. This is the Flute Practice, and it is my mission to offer you clear and impactful teaching on your flute journey while encouraging you to have lots of fun along the way. As a beginner, the first thing I want you to understand about this learning process is that much like a baby goes through different phases and different seasons, you are going to go through different phases. And when a baby is born, they are exclusively drinking milk. They are not eating solids yet, right? Well, you need to be sure that you're not trying to eat those solids before you've actually had the essential nourishment you need at the beginning. Let me break down for a moment the steps that I teach when I'm teaching beginner students so that you can see what types of things you should be learning, and then we're going to get into the more specifics around what you should be practicing. When I teach a beginner player, the first thing I want to see in that player is that they are establishing a good tone. So we spend quite a lot of time making sure that we're getting that good tone. We make sure that they have a good understanding of what breathing is all about, how to breathe, even fundamentals such as tonguing, how to tongue basic notes. But the main thing I'm wanting to see is that embouchure and sound starting to develop. And this just takes time. For some it takes less time, for others it takes more time, but time is the critical factor here. Once the sound is developed and we've got some of that lovely breathing and tonguing going, the next step along the way is to teach the student how to hold the flute, which involves the hand position, so getting good hand position, understanding how to use the body and stand with the flute to the body. And this also is a very tricky and critical step. It's tricky because the flute is in many ways an incredibly weird and awkward instrument to hold, and it is critical because the way that you hold that instrument is going to determine so much of what happens from here on out. Once we kind of getting a bit comfortable, it's usually still fairly awkward, but we start learning the first few notes, and this is true whether students know how to read sheet music or don't. I've done both. For students that do know how to read sheet music, of course, they don't have to learn how to read the sheet music, but I still find it is so critical to just start on 2, 3, 4 notes at a time to just establish the sound step by step. Of course, if you're learning how to read sheet music, I cannot tell you how important it is that you start from the beginning and gradually add complexity to what you're learning. Again, you wouldn't give a baby a steak as their first solids food. It's just a good analogy. Maybe I'm just in that phase in life where all my friends are having babies. After we've learned those first couple of notes, usually the first 5 or 6 notes, the next big hurdle that students have to overcome is the C to D transition on the flute. If you're completely new and you don't know what I'm speaking about, that's fine. But if you have an idea, you know that moving from C to D is quite tricky. And I'm going to say that a lot of this has to do with how we were learning to hold the flute in the first place. And if we get that step wrong, this step becomes really challenging. Once we get the hang of that, we start going into the second register on the flute. We start getting comfortable with the octave changes. Usually that second register, kind of A to C, becomes a difficult area for many students, and it's kind of the next big hurdle that we have to overcome, really establishing a secure and solid sound and getting the right technique for getting those octaves well. All this while, we're doing things like developing your rhythm and your counting skills. And of course, if sheet music is something new to you, you're learning how to read sheet music. And from there on out, we're gradually adding more and more and more skills and increasing the complexity and speed of the things that you are learning to play. Okay, so this is a basic outline. Of course, there's lots of little extra things and nuances and things along the way. But maybe you already see the slight issue with what I conventionally recommend students practice. You see, conventionally, I would say things like, okay, you're going to practice your scales, then you're going to do technical exercises and long tones, then you're going to do a study and a piece. But where are we going to learn how to get a good sound on the flute or discover how to hold the flute? I mean, I guess it's kind of part of technique, but you'll see that this is solid food stuff, right? This recipe that I've often put forward as what you should be practicing. That's eating your solids, and we are still on the milk phase. So the first critical thing that I want you to understand is that when you're beginning the flute, you're going to go through a season that is going to look unlike any other season of learning this instrument. And the very first thing you should be doing is playing with just your head joint, practicing with only your head joint, getting a comfortable and secure sound with just the head joint. We've got some resources for you to not only learn how to make a sound on the flute, but also some fun games to play with your flute. So we're going to link those down below for you to explore after this video. But I cannot encourage you enough. This phase is so critical. A lot like holding the instrument and how that impacts things later. Learning to get a basic good sound without all the complexity of this whole pipe is, I cannot even tell you how important it is. It's that important. And if it takes you 3 weeks or 6 months just to get a sound out, please stick with it. If it takes 6 months, please send me an email. It shouldn't take you 6 months. But if it does, that's okay. You just stick with it. Because once you put this thing together, it's only going to get more complicated and complex. And then you really shoot yourself in the foot and kind of destroy all hopes of really getting a good developed sound. I don't want you to be one of my students that I have to put back on the head joint after a few years of playing because you didn't do this step. Now, while you are practicing on just your head joint and getting all of that established, you can absolutely already be practicing the holding component, so learning how to get a good hand position, how to hold the instrument, and honestly, just even practicing tapping your fingers and just finding this with either the flute resting on your shoulder. You can even lift it up here so long, but honestly, if you just rest it on the shoulder, I find this quite comfortable, or even on a leg. If you've kind of got your leg up, you can kind of rest it, or you're seated, you can rest it onto your leg. But just getting comfortable with the basic hand position on the flute, and of course, even just the holding position. Hugely helpful. As you get started, then you want to be working with some kind of a step-by-step learning method. Usually we call these books tutorial books, and there are a whole bunch of them. And I'm actually going to tell you a little bit about something exciting that I have been creating in a moment, but you can pick your poison. My personal favorites, these are some of them. I've got some others that, to be honest, I can't find right now, but the Trevor Y beginner book is great. A new tune a day, or the old good old-fashioned tune a day, is a really, really, really solid book. There's a really great book called Learn As You Play, also wonderful. We actually have a free beginner guide down below. You can go download it, and we give you loads of suggestions for books and resources and things that you might want to get you started on your journey. So choose one of these methods, choose one of these books, maybe even a couple, and start working from the beginning. Again, such a critical step, because in the beginning, we are wanting to establish a lot of the foundations. We're wanting to make sure your tone continues to develop. We want to make sure your hand position, your posture, your breathing, your articulation, all these things are developing and working. And if you jump straight into playing complex, complicated things, you are not going to be able to focus on these things. I can guarantee it. You're just not. And so you're so focused on just trying to get the fingers right and the notes right that you're not able to spend time doing all of these other things that I've just mentioned. And of course, if you're reading sheet music, this is a no-brainer. You have to start at the beginning and start working your way through. Okay, so we've got quite a few really great resources for you. I mentioned that beginner guide, so you can go ahead and click on that beginner guide down below. We're going to actually, once we've given you that beginner guide, give you access to our free workshop as well. We have a free Flute 101 workshop where we really help you understand the foundational elements that you need to play the flute. But, and this is the thing I am truly excited about, I have been developing a beginner program at last. It has taken me years to do this because honestly, I have a lot of careful respect for this process and really doing it well. But I guide you through the process of learning the flute from the very beginning, how to create a sound, how to get a good balanced hand position. For those of you who don't know how to read sheet music, we have a little bonus sheet music crash course for you to help you learn how to do this. But we guide you through all the steps from that very beginner phase. And once you've finished that and you get past that, we start guiding you into those 5 ingredient steps with the scales and the technical exercises, and start moving you through a system that's going to help you level up and get to where you want to be on the flute. So there you have it. Now you know what to practice. The only thing left to do is to just do it. Go for it. Jump in. Don't be afraid. I know sometimes as an adult it might feel like, what am I doing? Can I even do this? But I can tell you that I've seen so many students do exactly that. And so can you. Happy practicing. Here's a nice beginner next first flute lesson video for you to dig into. And I'll see you over in that video.